light exterior. Alright, so open your render setup, and first I'm gonna change the image aspect a bit. I like my renders to be a bit wider, so maybe something like this, and make the overall dimensions of the render smaller so we get some faster previews. Okay, so next we're gonna enable the V-Ray frame buffer, disable the anti-aliasing filter. Okay, I'm gonna reduce the DMC sampler max subdose a bit just to get some faster renders. Change my color mapping to exponential, gamma to 2.2, and enable the subpixel mapping. Alright, so we also want some global illumination, so enable that. Turn on some weak ambient occlusion as well. I'm gonna set it at 0.5. And we're going to use irradiance map with light cache. So for irradiance map I'm going to use the very low preset, lower the quality a bit further just to get some fast previews, and for the light cache I'm also going to reduce the subdose, enable the show calculation phase. Okay, let's do the same for the irradiance maps. We can see the progress of the render. And that's okay for the indirect illumination. And now let's go to the settings tab, increase the adaptive amount to 1, this will make it faster and a bit noisier, and increase the noise threshold to 0.015. Alright. Okay, let's set the dynamic memory limit closer to your RAM size. In my case I have 24 gigabytes, so I'm setting it to 20,000 megabytes. And I'm also going to reduce the render region division size, so I get these smaller buckets and the renders are updated a bit faster. Okay, so those are the basic settings, and now all we have to do is drop in some V-Ray sun. Okay. And the camera is pointing this way, so I think I'm gonna add the sun coming at about roughly 90 degrees to the camera. So since the first scene is gonna be summer, the sun can be quite high and it's gonna look good. Okay, let's check the environment. Okay, we added the V-Ray sky there, and let's render. Okay. So this is a good starting point. I'm just gonna select my camera and change my white balance to neutral, and maybe make the scene a bit brighter by reducing the shutter speed to 1/150th. Okay. So now we're ready to create some materials for the house. For that, I'm just going to turn this topographic data into a 3D surface. And it's quite easy to do with a great little plugin called the Splineland. And what it does, it basically, you create your Splineland object, you add your splines that represent the topography of the site. So in this case I'm going to pick this object. Right, and you press the generate surface button, and it creates a great looking surface from those splines. In this case we have a little pond over here and some slight variation in the other parts of the surface. Okay. So by the default, the mesh is pretty rough, and you can make it smoother by increasing the iterations. I'm going to use something like 12. It takes a bit longer to calculate, but the resulting mesh is more accurate, and the results are smoother. Okay, so now the surface looks better. And there's another great feature for this plugin, and it's called the platform. So basically you create a platform. For example, I want to keep this piece flat. Okay, like that, maybe. I convert it to editable poly. Okay, let's make it something like this. Okay, doesn't matter. And so basically the idea is that I want to make this part flat. So position the platform wherever I want it. And what I do next is I select my spline-lined object, go to this platforms tab, click add object, pick my platform, and once I regenerate the surface, it creates a flat piece of geometry exactly where the platform was located. Okay, and it's nice and flat. We're gonna hide this platform, hide the topography lines. It's a great model of the terrain. Okay, so let's add one edit mesh modifier and turbo smooth to make it smoother. And I think we are good to go. Okay, I'm gonna quickly create a template for the ground. Assign the material. And this is what we're starting with. Right. And another thing we need to add before we can proceed with the materials is the water in the pond. So just create a large plane and lower it until it is somewhere about here. Okay, looks good. Let's name that water. And let's rename this part ground. And let's add another material to our editor. Name it water. Okay, I'm just gonna give it a bluish tint and drag and drop on my water object. Okay, and now we are ready to set up the materials. Great.